The streets is ghetto, but I'm a hood rat. Single life cuz that's what I'm good at. Say that's my pussy, I say good cat. She shake me out, then hurt me back. I didn't ask that you stay, I feel that's all that you say.
What's good, everybody? DJ TMac back here for another great hip-hop conversation. We're in here with an artist-producer combination, artist-producer duo, who's been putting in a lot of good work, doing a lot of good stuff that I like recently. We're here with Westward's 23 hip-hop artist of the year,
Yes,
Nelo,
sir, yes, sir.
and one of the best producers in the city, Second Self.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Second to none.
Happy to be here,
Second
man.
to none. I like that. Welcome to Conversation with T-Mac, fellas. How we doing today?
Doing pretty good, T-Mac.
Chilling, man. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, very happy to have you guys over. I discovered your music more recently. Really, you put me on. You said, hey, working with Nelo,
Yes,
what's
sir.
good? You know, maybe get a conversation going. So
Thank you,
slowly
dude.
started listening to your music from there. But really, it was the performance at the High Dive Bar a couple weeks ago where I was like, okay, this is somebody I really got to have on the program now. So, man, let's talk about that talk about that performance. Let's start
for
right
sure.
there. Put on by Indie 102.3, right?
Yes,
like, hey,
sir.
talk about it. Perform with the live band.
It was super dope, man. I had some incredible musicians out there with me. My guy E-Man was on the keys. My guy AJ was on the drums. Aaron was on the keys. E-Man was on the guitar, my bad. Then we had Alex on the bass. It was super dope. And then I realized at the end of the show, I was like, dang, that was really like a Second Self set.
I kept saying, man.
Yeah,
I kept
right.
saying. And with the live band, man, it adds a whole new element to your music, I feel like.
Thank you. So it was just super dope because it was, production, some of the stuff that we've been working on for the past year, and like seeing two of the songs I performed that night were also played throughout the month on Indie 102.3 and stuff. So it's just super dope to see us going from like, hey, let's put a project together to now we're feature artists of the month on the radio, and then also getting to do a featured show where of all the artists that were picked out for that month, only one was asked, and I was honored to be the one that was asked. And then, we've been putting our feet to the pavement on, just a collection of songs that we've been putting together and seeing stuff come to life as artists, you know what I'm saying? So rarely do you get to see like the way things come to life, the way that you envision it. Yeah, it's just dope. Actually, I couldn't, have asked for more than to like have that placement. So super grateful for it, and it was fun. Yeah.
I had fun in the crowd, man. It was a fun show, really fun set. We talked about the live band. What was it like seeing your production, being performed by a whole bunch of other people?
I love it, man. It feels like your baby, grows up and goes off to college. I feel just very proud of, hearing something you made now on the radio being played by a live band.
On the radio, too. Is that, like, one of the first tracks that you guys have had on radio?
First two, man.
Yeah, that was the first two. Yeah, for sure.
What is that experience like? Radio used to be like a way bigger thing. You see artists in the 90s with videos like, oh, we're on the radio, like going crazy. Like, it might not necessarily have like the same impact that it used to, but it's still a huge deal, like especially out here locally.
Yeah. Nah, I think it's super dope, man. And like I feel like even though it might not have the same like effect in terms of like the industry, in like I guess my personal goals and like the way just being able to like have somebody from my church come up to me and like be excited and be like so ready to tell me that earlier this week, like I heard you on the radio. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I think it's super dope. And I think like I'm looking around, I'm seeing like your Wu-Tang stickers and stuff like that, and it feels cool to have similar moments to like the greats, you know what I'm saying? And like Wu-Tang, like they had one of their biggest breakthroughs, you know what I'm saying, when they were able to get one of their hits played on the radio, and then came everything else. So it's just, it feels super dope to like, you know what I'm saying, like see like the feet in the pavement and be able to like fit our own feet in there and like, know that we are checking things off the box in terms of like whatever it takes to get to like our destination, like, and being on the radio is one of those like boxes I wanted to check. So
it's definitely a big box.
Oh yeah,
definitely a big box. How did you guys initially link and come together and start making music?
Man,
I think it was
JT.
Two of our good buddies, JT.
Vontae.
Shout out to JT and Vontae Miles. We linked at somebody's show. I heard some of Nelo's music and, just knew off the rip, like, this dude has it.
Thank you.
Didn't know much about him personally or anything like that. And we just kind of hit it off pretty quick. From there, met one time and I started sending him stuff and it just kind of, blossomed organically from there.
Facts. I think I got to shout. This is a perfect time to shout out Live on Broadway, which
R.I.P. But still alive in spirit.
Still very well alive though, because I don't know. Live on Broadway is a collective of producers, engineers, including Second Self, Vontae Miles, JT, Carter.
And then Vittorio was the artist. Yep.
Vittorio, and like it's just super dope seeing them. Like when I first met Cam or whatever, I was like mostly like taken back by like just the way that they were family with each other. You know what I'm saying? And like were super inclusive of everyone, you know what I'm saying? And like everyone looked out for each other. If there was a birthday to celebrate, everybody was there. So Vontae really started inviting me around them. And then I just got like, for me, it's been a dope journey in my music, but there's also been ups and downs in terms of like being able to make genuine connections. And being around them, you could just read the room and see how tight they were, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I feel like from there, like I was just also intrigued by all of like their individual work. So like me and Second got a lot of work together. We hit it off from the jump. But then also, like, I've had opportunities to interface with everybody else who was a part of that Live on Broadway collective. Which is why I say y'all are still very well alive.
Oh, we are.
You know
we
what
are
I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Y'all are still very well alive because, y'all got a connection. Or what I love about it and what we have now is that the connection is deeper than music. And, like, you know what I'm saying? You can always come back to the music as long as we stay connected and stuff like that. So
I think that's the backbone of it all. When you care about your fellow artists, producers as, more than just musicians, as friends, as family, you want them to succeed even more than you want yourself to succeed. And that's the way I feel about Nelo too. And so when you come from that position of love and just, really trying to make it for not just yourself, but those around you, like that's what leads to great results in my mind.
That's awesome, man. How did you guys like build up that relationship? Because obviously is it just like being in the studio and, you saw people were good people and it was a good space to be around and it was just from there, it was a good connection? Or how did you guys like build to the place that you're at now?
I think we both just like very raw musicians and stuff. So like we had a like before we even started making music together, we was like, hey, let's just meet up and like hang out. And then we would go out and have a couple drinks and stuff like that. And then we're talking about, hey, what do we want to do together musically? And then like the conversations we were having were just about like super like personal things or like it were intimate conversations. And like if you listen to like some of the music that we've put out together, from Street Preacher to We Get Stuck, like I'm talking about very like personal topics. Street Preacher is about a unhoused street preacher named Marvin Booker, who was murdered while in police custody. And we got to have like a conversation about that. Before I wrote the song, he would send me the beat. I'm like, yo, I'm hearing a song about this to this. And then like, do we have that real conversation? And then I would basically take our conversations and put the pen to the paper. Wow. And then,
which is crazy. I've never worked with an artist who kind of like, but the first time we met up, we just talked about like what was important to us. I brought up like gun violence as an issue, which one of the first songs we made that hasn't been released yet is about that. So like that was the starting point. Normally it's like, hey, let's just mess around and make something, see what happens. It was very intentional when we first really started making music. Which I think is super rare.
That's pretty unique, yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a unique way to like start building. Usually it's like, hey, come to the studio, let's smoke, put on some music, like see what hits. But you guys started in a different way, so it's interesting to hear. And people when they go back and listen to the music, they'll probably be able to hear that. Yeah, so that's really dope.
Yeah, it's been super dope, and it came at a very opportune time because we all go through our ebbs and flows as artists, and for me, I was like craving like being able to like express myself in a certain way, which is what music has always been for me, and the production that second was sending me over everything. Like I would get it and I'd be like, I know exactly what I want to do with this because the production would speak to what I'm feeling. And that's, I mean, we recorded like how many songs? Like 12 to
at least
15 songs.
I mean, one or 2 months. Yeah, it just kind of came off the rip. Just started going crazy out of nowhere.
I'm like, send me more.
Yeah, that's awesome when the creativity could just flow like that. And you guys have a connection, and it's strong, man. It's strong. But in general, you do a lot of collaboration in general. On the last project, fully produced by Second Self. Do you want to call it a project, EP, for the streets and lovers?
Yeah, you call it EP.
Little 2-song,
little 2-piece, yeah.
something. Yeah. I like that, man. It's fun, but 2 female artists on there that you're collaborating with. But you like to collaborate a lot in general. Talk about why you like to do that.
Man, I love community. I think music is like, it could be really miserable when you do it by yourself. The reason, all of us are out here to like build a following, but I've really never seen it like that. I feel like music is like the way that I've kind of built my family, outside of the, the family that I have that's blood. But like, my bro who manages my music, Shaq, I've known him for more than 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a song off my initial project, Born Again, where like I'm talking about the advice that he gave me that contributed to like me being in music. So if it wasn't for like the community around me, you know what I'm saying? Like I probably wouldn't still be doing this right now. But I feel like more and more now it's become clear to me that like the biggest, like to me, winning a Grammy is being able to have like, a connection or have a family around me that's like live on Broadway. Or to me, like, going double platinum is like being able to say that me and all my homies are like positioned well because of the work that we put in together on this music. Like you said, it's like a baby, so it's like us getting to watch, that baby grow and become something.
Well, I think one thing about you too is like, other artists might get that set that you saw last week of the show and just made it about themselves. Like, hey, it's my time to really shine, just me. But I think Nelo takes a chance to bring people on stage to do the duet to the song. And, that's one of his biggest traits, I think, just deeper than music, just as a person of bringing people together and letting people shine.
Thank you, dude.
And making people feel comfortable to do what they do best.
Thank you, dude. Yeah. Because I'm like... And then also it's a little egotistical for me too, because I'm like, yo, so what? You could put yourself on, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so what? You're good enough to, you know what I'm saying, shine by yourself. Like, how can you impact the culture?
What else are you gonna do with this position? Yeah.
And the people around you, like, so I was blessed to be one of the 5 artists picked for this year's The Drop competition for their Battle for the Block, which is last year they had Mooney Long, and then an artist opened up for Mooney Long that was like voted in by the state and stuff like that. So like I feel blessed to have that opportunity this time around. And they asked me the question, like, should people vote for you as like winner of the block? And I was like, a vote for me is a vote for the block. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well said.
If I get it, we all go in. Like,
yeah, that's true.
So it's just, I don't know. That's the way I look at things. But that's my ultimate. That's like the win for me is having a community. You know, and any successful. I could go on this all day, but any successful group or like region where people respect music right now, there's been a culture that's been cultivated by a group of people. And like a lot of these artists, you know what I'm saying, can point to each other and be like, oh yeah, before I got here, I knew so and so. Like we were in the studio together. Or you look down south on the East Coast in Georgia, look what the Dreamville artists have been able to do. The Jids, the J. Cole's, you know what I'm saying, the collectives, Earth Gangs, or now you want to look like out west, look at Compton, you know what I'm saying, what TDE has been able to do. Schoolboy Q just dropped his project, Blue Lips. Ab-Soul had just came back after a long hiatus last year, and Kendrick Lamar has been Kendrick for as long as he's been, but they all can point to each other like before they ever got to where they are now. And so I just know that, or at least the formula that I've seen is that if you have a community around you and y'all can stay true to each other and be good at what you do, then everything else gonna come.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's a great perspective. I love to hear that. And something I noticed about Denver in general when I moved out here, about like the music community in general, is that it is pretty tight knit. There are different groups and pockets and like cliques of people, but in general, all the shows I've been to, like you see all different, you know, types of artists there getting together, talking about collaborating, performing together, you know, doing all that stuff. So it's a really cool thing to see. Let's talk about you. I mean, you brought up Dreamville. Rose brought up to me that you invited him to a session, right? With a whole bunch of different artists, producers. I mean, talk about that. Like, what should I expect? Like a project out of that? Is there, you know, everybody just got their own like little thing, wanted to come together? Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, we
and is there like an official name of like what went down, like what happened there?
Yeah, my homie Caleb Colors, shout out Caleb. He's been putting together, or he's been organizing and pulling together a group of musicians, creatives, artists, producers, and basically how it started is we got in the studio and we had like a 10-hour session that went from like 5 o'clock. My math might be wrong, but it went from 5 o'clock to 3:30 in the morning, and we were just, the musicians were on one side of the room. They were like, it was like a horn section. It was guitarist E-Man was there, Callum Bear was there, and Caleb was on the keys. Everybody was just like, you know what I'm saying, doing their thing. I was on the other side in the studio. It was me, Wayne Watts, D-Trey, the DCI Tour family, Trip, my bad. It was a lot of us. Anyways, it was a lot of us, and we were just like feeding off each other's energy, cooking up, and basically what he's terming it right now is We the World. And I think people can look forward to, we recorded like 3 songs that night, but I think there's more to it that he's kind of fleshing out right now, and that we're all gonna like band together on and work together, which is super dope. Because if you look at the Denver scene right now, there are like you said, you could see all the different groups and people who are doing different things. So DCI Tour is doing their thing in the city, and they've done shows all throughout the city. Meow Wolf, it's also attached to a nonprofit where they do work at like several schools throughout the city and like have these creative sessions with students. And then you got E-Man, who runs Off the Cuff, who was also in that room. And Off the Cuff is like this beautiful impromptu place for musicians to play at Meadowlark on every Wednesday, and it's, you walk in there and it's like underground raps, like underground music scene. You know, you see everybody, folks are jamming out. You know,
that's one of my favorite spots to be.
Yo, it's lit. You know, it's a vibe. And then I'm in the room and I got dope shit with friends, stuff that I do with my nonprofit as well, the Kaleidoscope Project. So I think we're just like very intentionally pulling together like people or players who understand what we were saying about community, and like seeing how we can, like, you know, if I get in a fight, you know what I'm saying, I could do some damage to somebody by myself, but you know, if we all jump their ass,
it's different. It's different.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's a crazy example.
We do it.
He brought it there. Yo, what happened before you came here?
We had, you know, we're trying to figure out how we can do damage together. You know what I'm saying? And like make a more
collectively make an impact.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we're talking about this Denver community. You were, are you born and raised out here?
Born and raised in Aurora, Colorado, man. Not many of us left.
Talk about, you know, seeing Denver and Colorado's like sort of grow in general, even like outside of the music scene, sort of the evolution of, you know, since you've, you know, been aware of sort of what's going on.
Yeah, it's been a place where big artists have come, you know, for a long time to Ball Arena or whatever to perform shows, but it was never a place that anybody stopped and took the time to get to know or anything like that. And I think that was kind of our fault for a long time too. I feel like artists here wanted to be, or maybe still want to be, the first big name to come out of here. But again, that's going back to the attitude of like, you know, I'll step over 3 people to get to the top. When we look back at every, you know, big group or artist that's made it, it's been a group collective to build people up, and not stepping over people to get to the top. So I feel like that energy has shifted a lot recently, and it's gotten to more of the collaboration, and just trying to lift, you know, what's the phrase? High tides raise all boats. So just more of that mentality. I'm definitely starting to see kind of more of that going on here.
Yeah, there's so many like different beats and cypher events. Like that's just how I like we spoke about earlier, how I initially like started meeting people around and realizing there's a lot of like great artists around here. When I moved here, I didn't realize that. I didn't know nothing about it, you know. I just knew, hey, it's a bigger city, like there's got to be like some different stuff going on. But to get out there and really see, it's pretty amazing.
And I think the big debate here is, you know, it could be a gift or a curse of like, what is Denver's sound? What is Colorado's sound? And to me, it's a gift. I mean, you got so many different artists doing kind of different things that it's not just one mold. So I think we're still trying to just flesh that out as a state of like, what is Colorado's sound? Maybe we don't have one sound. So I think that's still kind of being developed. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think the ambiguity is the like thing that's beautiful about it out here. You know what I'm saying? Because no other city has like a similar local scene, I say. You know what I'm saying? Like I go back home to St. Louis, and it's just not going to be the same. If you go to Atlanta, people aren't really coming outside like that as often as they are for local artists like they do here. Like it's major names or like mainstream names or, you know, people who have like been adopted under certain umbrellas. Out here, it's like you could be like Joe Schmo, whoever, you know what I'm saying, and like put your feet to the, at least this is what it's becoming, I think. You could be whoever and like work hard and be good at what you do and have a sound, and people are gonna like love and respect it. Which is why I feel like, you know, Denver has always been a place where artists come to, and then once we figure it out, then eventually it'll end up being a place where artists can come from. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying.
Well, I think just music in general is becoming more niches. I look at an artist like Larry June, for example. Like I went to see one of his shows a couple of years ago. Sold out, you know, theater. Everybody knows every word to his song. Like we're still gonna have the big, you know, big time celebrity names like, you know, artists like Drake, people like that. But it feels like it's more niche audiences, and I feel like you can connect kind of on a deeper level and have those fans that are, you know, they know every word, they're buying merch, they're coming to every show, and building kind of a stronger following instead of being just like a big pop star, essentially.
What is the saying? Like get it like 1,000 people, spend $100 a year, something like that. Like you don't need a huge following, you just need some real supporters.
Yeah, facts.
That's it.
Facts. I've been saying that shit a lot lately or whatever. Or you see like a lot of artists nowadays are like kind of microwave artists in a sense where it's like people are having viral moments and then they're on the big stage, and like I think I've heard a lot of conversations about how that's attributed to the reason that it's been so long or so few artists have broken into the mainstream and have been like consistent artists. And somebody's like outside of Ice Spice, Sexy Red, Glorilla now, because she just had another hit that is kind of going viral. Other artists who are like mainstream dealing with labels who have like been able to stick around. Mostly everybody else has like had their moment and then gone. And so it's just, I feel like right now it's just super dope to be in a space where, you know, you get those 1,000, like that's probably more successful having those 1,000 people who are going to spend $100 or whatever. And you look at the models or the people that are like most successful right now, the artists who have broken through that aren't considered like mainstream, like La Russell or Mooney Long, Victoria Monet, like the artists who have like been putting their feet to the pavement and like have those cult followings, you know what I'm saying? Like it seems a lot more sweeter on that side than than playing the other.
And you're just more satisfied with yourself too, right? And what you're doing. Yeah, like you're not like you're not tied to the label and they're asking you for this and asking you to change this and do this. Like you're doing it your own way for your people, essentially.
Yeah. That's priceless for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like that's priceless. even now, like on the scale that we're doing things, like it means the world to be able to like call my own shots. And when I first like was trying to like break out into the scene, I was like real bitter about like not having opportunities. But like that kind of pushed me to like, oh, well, why don't I just do this shit for myself? And then start doing this shit for myself, and I realized like, yo, like it's not a lot of experiences where I've had where like I'm like, oh, somebody did this better than I would have did it for myself too anyways, you know what I'm saying? So like it just, the quality that comes from being able to like steer your own ship, and like the, like you said, the feeling that you have of like being able to have control and still like feel successful, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't, get out there and do that shit, man.
Yeah, man. Go figure out what you want to do and do it.
Hey, yeah, don't let nobody tell you, you know, like that an opportunity ain't for you, and especially ones that you can make for yourself. Like, go do that shit.
And I think a big trap I fell into was like, I wanted every beat to be perfect before I sent it out, or like, I'm not even going to play this for this person. But the more just music you release, it's, you know, could get, you know, taken in very well, or it's feedback to get better and work on it. But if you're not releasing stuff, if you're not putting yourself out there, you know, I'm working on this constantly, of you're just not going to grow at all. So just putting stuff out and just seeing how it's received is almost the biggest thing.
Facts.
I think.
Facts. I ain't really ever heard a bad beat from you either. Let's see.
Well, that's because I keep 90% on my computer.
He just told you he hasn't played a lot of them for you.
So he's hiding beats from me, huh?
I mean, let's just talk about the production style real quick. Like, it's clean, it's crispy. I mean, let's get into it. The production process, man. How do you dig for samples? How much stuff do you play over it and mess with it? Like, just bring me through the whole process.
I'm a big fan of just music in general. So like searching for samples, finding stuff is almost like a hobby to me. You know, some people might collect, I don't know, baseball cards or some shit. I collect samples, or just finding new music, new little niches of like, I went down like a 70s Italian, you know, movie soundtrack route. And I'll listen for hours just as a fan of music. So I think it all starts of just being like a fan of different sounds and not wanting to sound the same or anything like that. So yeah, very, very sample based. And I love kind of adding my own touches. You know, sometimes I'll throw 2 different samples from different songs and mesh them together. And it's just a beautiful thing. If you listen to a 5-minute song, then you hear 10 seconds where it's like, oh, that's a whole idea that I can go make a brand new sound from and add my own touch on it. So music is, you know, very cyclical like that. A great song from the 70s has certain elements that you can, you know, come back to and make modern for today's sound, and has that certain nostalgia, you know, that I love about music. So
when I first realized like hip hop was so sample heavy, I was like taken back. I was like not ready for it. You know, I got into hip hop later. I really didn't grow up with it. So like learning about it, I was like, when I heard Isley Brothers Between the Sheets, my jaw just dropped. Right. My jaw dropped like crazy. So when did you sort of start getting into music, realizing about, you know, sampling, how it worked, and when did you start producing? How long have you been doing it for now?
Well, I was telling Nelo that back in middle school, I wanted to be a DJ. So I saved up for years to buy some turntables, you know, old school record, actual turntables. Yeah. And I would just sit in my room for hours and just kind of study and mix songs. You know, why does the build up here work, and then why does the energy get crazy here? So I was, again, just going back to like being a student of music first. So I did that for a couple of years, and, you know, made the leap in high school to actually make stuff. You know, some of the worst beats you've ever heard in your life, but you got to start somewhere. So, you know, making stuff on my parents' computer back in the day, having my friends come over and record, you know, again, just going back to, it's a great way to be around people, have creativity just flow, and it just kind of evolved from there.
What equipment do you use to produce? Do you are you ripping vinyl? You do digging more digitally now? How are you doing it?
Started with vinyl, but man, there's so many gems on YouTube now. I can't give any names away, but just the
like channels.
The channels, man, it's crazy. I have like almost like a daily newsletter I'll open up, and it's my subscription is like, you know, just vintage stuff from different areas of the world. And there's so much great stuff on YouTube now of people that are uploading, you know, stuff that's been lost in time for decades. So I love doing it that way. I still got records too. That'll never be out of style, I think. There's something about, dropping a needle on and hearing that crackle that's, nostalgic too. But with the internet, man, there's so much good stuff out there.
I love your attention to detail. Even like hearing you talk about it too is dope right now, because if like your attention to detail on like all of the samples or all of the sample beats that I heard from you is super dope. And even like some of the production that I've recorded over, like there are elements of like the beats that I hear like later. You know what I'm saying? Like I never hear everything at once. So I was listening to Street Preacher on the way here in the car, and I'm like, there's like a click that you put over the sample that's like a marching like noise in the back. Whatever. I just know I'm like, oh, this is you pay like attention, because some people stop. I feel like some people stop at just having the sample and being able to scratch it and like, you know what I'm saying? But there's like layers that you put into it that make the beat kind of come out super dope and unique. So
well, thank you, man. I appreciate
that.
You
talk about it, man.
I think over the years, like adding those little details is what separates just kind of average producers. Where I'm trying to head to be better and better, and having something that sounds simple like on the surface, but then when you go and actually hear it, like you'll hear little details of almost like looking at a great piece of art, like from the standard eye, like it looks like nothing. Then you get up close and you see different techniques of brushstrokes being used. There's always kind of finer details that I'm trying to add and improve upon.
Fire.
My next question was going to be sort of how your process has evolved or changed over time, but I mean that's sort of the answer right there, right? I guess refining it and really adding those little details to make the best work you can.
Yeah, and sometimes it could be, I'll be walking outside and I'll hear a bird chirp, or like, hear a truck go over a curb and hear like almost the sound of a beat. I'm like, oh man. So I think just
that producer mind's just always running in the background.
Or I'll be in King Supers, I'll hear a song come on, like I'm pulling Shazam out, holding it up. So I
had the shopping cart in the background. That's right.
Yeah, so I'd never sit down and I'm like, all right, it's time to make a fire beat right now. It's always like, I hear something or something inspires me. People inspire me, like Nelo to go make it happen. So it's just very organic is kind of how my process works.
One of my favorite tracks produced by you is Times Square Flows.
One of my favorites as well. Shout out Vino, shout out Moose. Yeah. Killed that. Yeah, love that.
Great
one.
track, man. I mean, talk about that one, how that one came together a little bit.
Ooh, man, it's a long story. Started off live on Broadway. I was playing beats for Vino, and he was going out to New York, so he took that one with him. And him and Mussolini, shout out Moose, they were shooting a video for a different song in Quad Studios, right on Times Square. Famous studio where Pac got shot back in the day.
Oh, that's fire.
So they were shooting the video.
Not fire. Pac got shot, but being there.
Fire location, fire studio. So they're making a video there, and they kind of wrapped it up with some extra time, and so they were just playing beats, and that's a beat that came on. Moose heard it. They started writing on the spot there, so they recorded it at Quad that night, and then we flew back maybe a year and a half later to Times Square to make the video for it. We rented out like a private room at a fine dining restaurant down there. Crazy
had a
stuff,
party,
man.
It looked like.
I can't say too much about that. The fact we didn't get thrown out is kind of a blessing in itself.
I'm talking about setting foundation, moving with patience, thinking with urgency. OPM as if a nigga committed burglary. My name Vino, if you haven't, your girl heard of me. Yeah.
Two-step in the lamb, hundreds in the duffel bags. Look out for the packs while the fiends double back. Now I got interns all off a rap. They on the Times Square, snow bunnies by the pair. She a savage, talking crazy in my ear. Alligators over bears, we the greatest, I swear. Kill the booth up in Quad, sipping wine with the squad. Get you whacked by the mob, thinking it's a game.
But yeah, it's again just going back to an organic thing that kind of came up, and great vibes with good people, and that was a fun one to make and be a part of for sure.
Something I see you do, on your YouTube is type beats a lot. Is that bringing you a lot of exposure, different people? I mean, quite a few of them, got multiple thousands of views. Like, what is, exploring that like avenue of YouTube and production been like?
Go ahead. What you got to say?
I was gonna say thank you for putting him on blast because he's like secretly a YouTube star, but doesn't want to acknowledge it.
Let all your followers know where this interview is gonna be. All right.
Oh, man. A big part of me still hasn't fully embraced it. I didn't embrace it for a long time because I just wanted to do it organically and build with people and not. Even just the word type beat still makes me cringe. It's just kind of a marketing thing to put out. Like
it's a tool. Like it's just a name of something.
Exactly. That's really what it is. I don't sit down and make a Rick Ross type beat to, make a bland.
Intentionally, like you said, sit down and
Right. You can go ask AI to do that shit. Which that's a whole different topic I don't want to get into. But just kind of a marketing tool to put kind of those 90% of tracks that I may not send out to everybody else, and it kind of exposes me to a new audience too. For me, it's very passive. I upload the beat. I don't do any promotion. People just kind of find it organically. And it's cool seeing the comments of like, hey, I listened to this for 5 hours straight and wrote to it. Or like this inspired me at my job when I was listening to it. So it's going back to the internet and how it's such a blessing to be able to kind of meet people indirectly from anywhere in the world now.
Facts.
So
you seen what J. Cole did? It was maybe around this time last year
with the beat
Batman.
that you picked, right? Yeah. Tell that story real quick.
J. Cole last year, he went and picked out. He was like, I guess because there's, like you said, there's a stigma that comes with like the whole type beat situation, but it's a tool. And it's like, I feel like, I don't know, us as artists, we get made to feel like ashamed of like the most like essential parts of like our like grind or like our process to get into where we want to get, you know what I'm saying? And I think it was really dope. J. Cole last year went and got a producer, his name's Batman, beat off of YouTube just randomly and recorded a song to it and then dropped it the next day on his socials. And I don't know if he streamed it or not, whatever. But that same beat I had chosen out. It was more than a year ago, at least. And I recorded a song to it or whatever as well. But it was super dope. Now that song is like one of my like songs that streams the best on my Spotify. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yo, like the most I get the cringe, and then you know what I'm saying, then it's also like, damn, we gotta do what we gotta do too, cause you know what I'm saying, like, and I could definitely see J. Cole, like, you know, like,
I mean, that shows you got an ear right there, right? You picked the same thing, like, come on.
And attached to that ear is, you know, the people that helped me to have that ear too. So like, if J. Cole so happened to type beat on YouTube, it might be produced by Second Self.
I've heard a lot of big artists will do that, like when they don't have beats or they're looking to just write something. Right?
Yeah. And then we act like we all don't do it. I'm like, yo, some of my best songs have been off, or best projects I've put together, I've been able to put together off of like type beats, or before. Those were the beats I had to use and able to be able to find Second, you know what I'm saying, or to be able to find Vontae or whoever else. Like, I had to start somewhere. So
that's dope, man. Talk about starting somewhere. Let's talk about your upbringing a little bit.
Hey,
from California originally.
I was born in California. And then I grew up in St. Louis from the time that I was 7 to 18. And then moved to Atlanta for like 6 years for school. I went to Morehouse College out there, and then came out to Denver about like 4 years ago.
I mean, you sort of brought up the music scene in St. Louis a little bit. But I was doing some research, and there's some big names that came from St. Louis.
Jordan Ward, Smino, Nelly, Murphy Lee.
I'll start with Chuck Berry. I'll bring it all the way back to Chuck Berry, all right? Chuck Berry is one of the first artists lyrically I was listening to, like being able to be like, damn, what's he saying there? Like making track, and that was an early like impact on me that probably has me in this hip hop direction and has us sitting here right now. But man, I'll take it back to Chuck Berry.
Hey, that's lit. That's
But
lit.
yeah, like you
I
said,
didn't expect you to say that.
Come on.
If you would have given me 100 guesses for what name you were gonna say, that would not have been in my top 100.
This is conversation with
Murphy
T-Mac.
Lee.
It's a different type of conversation right now.
True music fan, man. That's
Why
why
we
we
talking about-
we appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
Facts.
but you brought up like Samino, SZA more recently. Like those are some more recent artists to come out of there. But what is the music scene like? We talked about the Denver one being real close and tight knit. But what was it like growing up in St. Louis? And like, was the scene something that impacted you at the time? I got like a million questions. When did you start music? Like, just answer all that for me.
I mean, it was St. Louis that made me want to rap. My sister. I'll start here. My sister had a boyfriend, and I thought he was the coolest dude alive. And he was a rapper, so I was just like, I got to be a rapper too.
Okay.
That was Chuck Berry.
And his name was Chuck Berry. His name was Sid. And so I started rapping. I just saved up all my money that I'd get on Christmas or whatever, and bought some studio stuff. And then I would like record myself for fun, and I would record people from around the block. Too. And then I grew up like Sweet Life of Zach and Cody for like a part of my life. So I lived in an apartment complex that was like half apartment and half hotel. And there was some people who worked at the valet that were also artists, who to me ended up being St. Louis legends and are still St. Louis legends to me. And I met a guy named Rockwell Knuckles. And if you get a chance to listen to his music, I'd say look him up. He has a band now called The Knuckles. But he would take me to the studio with him sometimes, like late at night. He'd just send me a message, or my sister would be like, Rocky going to the studio if you want to go with him. And then I run down to the lobby and like get in the car with him. And then we go to the studio, and then it would be him, another artist, Tef Poe, who Tef Poe also has a nonprofit organization that he runs. He was part of like the 106 in Park rap battles when they first had them, and when 106 in Park was still a thing. And he's just been an artist that I have been able to watch from a distance. But I was like young, and before all these things happened for them, and they would have like sold out shows at this place called the Gramophone in St. Louis. I wasn't old enough to get in, so like I never go, but I was just like getting to see from a distance and like sit in the studio and watch them work. And like I just really like idolized a lot of those guys growing up, and wanted to like more and more, become that myself. And like I've never met an artist from St. Louis that's like that makes bad music. You know what I'm saying? And like, so the wide variety of like artistry that we have, you know what I'm saying, I think it's a beautiful thing. And it's just like dope being able to like, more and more be able to consider myself as like a part of that spectrum. And you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, those are the people I was Sweet Life, Zach and Cody. And one of the guys from the valet, Rocky, introduced me to this world that like I just got hooked on. I'm like, yo, I gotta do this. Like, so yeah.
When did you release your first project?
My first project, it depends on like when I was younger, I would put out projects and stuff like that. But I was like in the Dat Piff days. Did you know about Dat Piff?
Oh, absolutely, man.
All right, cool.
Legendary time right there.
Dat Piff.
Unfortunately, they shut down last year, I
R.I.P.
believe,
R.I.P. to
right?
Dat
We
Piff.
have to give our condolences to the hip hop community and
man.
Dat Piff.
That's crazy, yo. Damn, getting old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say my first project would be, or my first official project would be Seasonal Depression. And I had dropped that like the end of 2019, maybe going into 2020. And that was like the year I've always recorded and released music under an alias God Remember, up until the time that I was probably 24 years ago, and 2024. So I finally was like, after this project, I'm gonna be Nelo, but like I'm gonna publicize this one and I'm gonna let people see it. I was always like kind of fearful about what people would think about my music and how I approached it. I grew up in the church. I was a licensed preacher when I was 16, and yeah, so. But I don't know, something just clicked that year. It's like, whatever, fuck it, I don't care what the Christians think. And
I was gonna say, can you talk about that shift a little more, the name change, and maybe, you know, the music or style change, if there is a big one?
Yeah, I think that the name change just came when, like, I always felt like God Remember was a way for me to like hide. Granted, like, it's still my name. My name is Ebo, so Nelo means thought of God, or God remembers. Nelo is the nickname of that name, and God Remember was just basically the meaning of my name. But I was like, if I put this out, nobody's gonna know. So then me taking on the name Nelo, it's just like, you know, I still am who I am. Like, I still love all the same things that I love, and I still respect my faith the way that I do. But I'm gonna like step out like from behind this alias and like be who I am transparently and openly. And like that's why a lot of my music is like super personal. I like meet people sometimes and they're like, oh, I feel like I already know you, and I'm like, they start telling me about, I got a song called A Song About Nita. They're like asking me about my stepmom and like how she's doing, or like you know what I'm saying, like the song I got songs about not going to church and like feeling remorse about that. And I have a song called Don't Fuck With Boys, where somebody that I dated ended up after we got done dating, then they were like, I don't fuck with boys anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people like, I'm super transparent with my music, and like that was the transition for me. Like, yo, I not that I like people in my business, I just don't like hiding. And like much of my life has been like hiding parts of myself to please people and stuff like that. I'm also a pastor's kid, you know what I'm saying? So like on the other side of that, I'm like, oh no, I'm open and I'm transparent. I am who I am. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So
what does the album Time Is Limited sort of like represent to you in this sort of journey we're talking about?
So Time Is Limited is basically like a time lapse and like my thoughts throughout like maybe a year and a half of my life, and just realizing that like, you know, I have like regrets about shit and like you know, you don't really have that much, we don't have a lot of time here and shit. I be thinking about, oh, I should have played basketball my senior year in high school, or like I should have did this. And Time Is Limited is just like a graduation of like, you know, like that transition that I made, and being like, oh, I got to take advantage of like the time that I'm here. And it covers all the different like, I guess, aspects of like how I think about that. And so like the first song talks about it's called These Days, and it talks about how my relationships with old friends have changed from college and people getting married and having kids, and me realizing like how little time like we actually do have, you know what I'm saying? Or like how life can change and things can, you know, transition quickly.
These days, things just not the same no more. Calls decline, okay, that's fine. I know you got another life. My homies married sweethearts, seen their girlfriends turn into their wives. Back then we used to spare a moment, now we ain't got no more time. Matthew still hits the chat to tell us about his little child. And my nigga Dose got nominated, he might win a Grammy soon. We ain't spoken in a while, I just wonder how you doing. Praying for y'all safety, I know all my niggas on the move. Things just not the same no more. But these new beginnings is worth it, I found company in these verses, I found boundaries, we deserve them, I found strength when I was hurt. I see the way God working, I'm just glad they good. The blessings they receiving at me, God is in the neighborhood. In the blessing business, I got LLCs, I'm just here to witness. God on the block, hallelujah. Hey, God on the block, hallelujah. These days, things just not the same no more. These niggas I used to call before that I can't call no more. Not these days, yeah.
And then it graduates to some more like self-reflective stuff where I'm thinking about like slowing down. There's a song called Slow Down. and I'm basically saying like, these days you don't get breathers. Cold world don't burn in the freezer. Why I gotta work for my leisure so I could get the grain for my Caesar. I need to slow down, slow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that song's be reflecting on like, oh damn, like having to handle my personal shit. Like time just, you know what I'm saying? Like we go to work for our job from 9 to 5. And then we have a few hours left in the day, and then you sleep, wake up, repeat, do the same. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, I need to really like embrace what's happening. And then it just the project goes back and forth between different topics like that, dealing with time. And it's crazy how it came together because I didn't like. Those were all songs that I recorded in separate spaces without knowing that they all would like kind of, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was like really thinking in that space and time.
And it's crazy because they all go together looking back now, like you made them almost one at a time.
Yeah.
But it sounds like just a collection of thoughts that just really fit together, and it's super relatable, I think. Just the different topics you were mentioning, like we can all relate to that.
Was that you that, it was you or Cardi that said to me that, I meant for it to be like a rap project, but then they're like, "Oh, this is R&B." Like, and I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, damn, yeah."
That's interesting, man. But to that point, like the songs are very catchy, but if you're really listening, they have a lot of meaning to them and can, get you through whatever situation you're going through at the time, possibly. So that's the type of artist I listen to. That's the type of albums that I run back. So keep them coming, Nelo.
Thank you.
Keep them coming.
Thank you. I'm trying to make classics.
Hey, so should the next classic we should expect be fully produced by this man right here this year coming out? What are we looking at? You guys got a lot of singles out recently, but
yes, indeed.
When's the project coming, man?
Yes, indeed. I'm like, so he's like the angel on the shoulder, and I'm like the devil on the shoulder. So as the angel, he's like, hey man, we gotta take our time. And like really, and then I'm like, oh, let's put these 3 out. Let's put these 2 out. Like, let's put this one. Nah, let's do these 5. So to answer your question, yes, there is, and Second's helping me pace myself too. So, but we got lots of work we could release for the rest of the year, once a month.
We have so many, and I think our plan will be, giving them each kind of their shine, like how we released the 2-pack, right over Valentine's Day to kind of let those breathe. Then, I think there's definitely still a place to drop albums. But I think Nelo's so great with the content too. We're kind of giving you the behind the scenes look of how a song came together, that almost letting each song breathe in itself is almost maybe our best direction.
I like that approach.
Yeah. And each song has like such a deep meaning too, where it's like, I don't want people to skip over it. And even one of our songs, like we talked about, the one that's about gun violence, we were like, hey, we don't want to like make this a marketable song necessarily. We don't want to think about it that way because of what we're talking about. And there's a specific date that we're looking at to commemorate something that's precious to, or a moment that's precious to Colorado, that we're going to drop it on. And then after that, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to be like a marketing push as much as us, like, we just want to honor
Just a meaningful
the meaning of that song. Yeah.
And Nelo has some visuals that, straight out of Hollywood type shit. Just super cinematic. And again, it's not that microwave music where you just put it out and let it run its course. Like it's meant to be kind of enjoyed for a long time because it stemmed from a deeper meaning. And yeah, we got some good stuff to come.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to it, man. We'll just let that be where it is, and just look forward to more work from you guys.
Hey, thank you, TMac.
Thank you, man.
So let's transition. A big part of my podcast is music. Another big part is food.
Hey,
Let's go.
All right. So I'm
prepared.
I'm more newer to Denver. How long have you been out here in Denver?
4 years.
4 years. All right.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have a lot of spots for me, but where are the go-to food spots for you guys? When you're hungry, you're like, yo, I need to go and get this right now. Where is the spot and what is that meal?
Golden Saigon restaurant in Aurora. You need to go there.
I've heard about it.
Have you
I've heard
really?
about it.
Okay.
I think so.
So it's down the street from where I grew up. kind of a, I don't want to say hole in the wall. That sounds bad. Locally owned, family owned for a long time. The best Asian food and some of the best service I've ever had in my life.
That's important, man. It's real important.
When I'm spending
service.
some money, man, I want to be, treated well. And I, give the same respect back. It should be a good experience. And the food there is unreal, man. And they make you feel like family when you come in. So definitely check that out. It's off Parker Road.
What's the name again?
Golden Saigon.
Golden Saigon. Okay.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Okay. All right. I love some good Asian food.
Any go-to spots?
Yo, the blazing chicken.
Fire.
Off of Holly. Yeah, it's right off of Holly. It's the best soul food that you'll find in Colorado. And I searched far and wide. And I've been through a lot of spots waiting on Welton Street Cafe to come back. But in the meantime, in the interim, I found this place called The Blazing Chicken. And they have the best oxtails. They got super fire fried chicken, all the essential sides, macaroni, yams, greens, rice, gravy, everything that you would want. You know what I'm saying? So it's super dope. I go into the restaurant and it feels like I just got like teleported to Atlanta again. So, super dope. That's one of my favorite places to go. And they also treat you like family when you walk in there too. So it's a dope environment. They got some good people down there. I think the owner is from like Mississippi or something like that. So it definitely feels like family, and like just that Southern comfort,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm looking forward to that, man.
Thursday, I think it's like Thursday and Friday. They got the oxtails. So if you like oxtails, I say go those days.
We going this week. Let's go. I need some of that. But you guys know, or you will know now, I'm a pizza guy. Big pizza guy, all right? So if I'm going to make the ultimate Nelo pizza,
all right,
what style of pizza it's going to be, what's going to be on it, man? Break it down for me.
Sheesh. All right. So I'll probably go with a good margarita pizza. You know what I'm saying? Not too
classic.
Heavy. A classic margarita, not too heavy on the tomatoes. And then we're going to throw some bacon in there.
Ooh, I ain't never seen bacon added to a margarita pizza.
Ain't nothing wrong with the bacon on it.
That takes risks over here.
Better not order that at the wrong spot, you know?
Not at the wrong spot. And then I gotta have the thin crust as a St. Louis guy. I'm sorry. Yeah, and that's it.
What is pizza culture like in St. Louis?
So is
it more like just New York
go to
style
Chicago,
like pizza joints, or do they have sort of their own like twist on things down there?
St. Louis, we had a steeple that's called Emo's. That it's like flat crust pizza. People either hate it or love it, but anybody who's truly from St. Louis is going to tell you good things about Emo's. And if you ask somebody when you go to St. Louis, where should I get pizza, and they don't say Emo's, then they're probably not from there.
Okay.
But I say Emo's is very thin crust pizza, a round cut, and they slice it into squares.
So it's like a tavern style almost, right?
Yeah.
We actually serve that at Blue Pan Pizza. So hey, come on down.
Okay.
I'm gonna make you that margarita with bacon tavern style, man. Come on.
Disclaimer: Emo's might fuck your stomach up, but it's gonna be worth every minute.
Yeah, man.
Every minute spent on the toilet is gonna be worth it.
Oh, that's funny. All right, I'm gonna have to try that when I get down to St. Louis. Second Self. What is on the ultimate Second Self pizza? Build that up for me.
I'm a huge Blue Pan fan. Woo-wee. Before I even knew the affiliation. The Brooklyn Bridge at Blue Pan.
It's the #1 seller.
It just fits my taste buds exactly how it's needed to be done, man. Okay. It's pepperoni, sausage, the ricotta on it, like little dollops of it. Kind of gives it that freshness, that little... changes the palate.
The hot and cold of it.
Yes. You wouldn't think it's a texture thing in your mouth of like everything's hot, then the kind of cold to blend it.
That it comes together.
And then what puts it all together is the crust, kind of caramelized, thick crust.
Is Detroit style pizza? Are you aware of Detroit style pizza?
What is Detroit style?
So it's a pan pizza, typically like a square pizza, but it has a cheddar cheese caramelized edge to it.
A little bit of sweetness in it.
Like on the edge of the crust?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
I'm a crust guy, so
yeah.
Is it like, how deep is it? Like,
It's a couple inches. It could be a couple
Okay.
inches thick, but it's not a very heavy
Right.
crust. It's like more light and airy than like a New York Sicilian pizza. That's like more of a heavy dough that's
Okay.
gonna really slow you down.
It's gonna be light.
If you eat enough of this, it's gonna slow you down, but it's a more lighter, airier type of dough.
okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, you eat it like it's not heavy to the point where you're like, I just ate a whole feast. It's just perfect, man.
Feels light.
It's perfect. Light. The flavor textures blend together so well. Yeah, best pizza in Colorado, I think. Some of the best I've ever had. I mean, not New York and Chicago are different beasts too, but Blue Pen.
You guys heard it here first. I mean, maybe second, but
I'm only getting paid a little bit to say that, but I mean it. I mean it, folks.
We
It
need
is.
a pizza box to hold up.
hey, for real though, I'd love to have you guys come on down to Blue Pan Pizza, and I'm gonna serve you up these pies. You know,
Hey, let's go on there.
let's do it. Let's make some content out of it. All right.
Let's do it.
Tell me when, and I'll be there.
So I got one more final question for you guys. And what are some of your goals in music? Do you guys have goals? How big are they? They might be small, but you know, what are some of the goals that you guys are trying to achieve?
I'm just trying to best myself every day. If I could build a cult following and be able to make more than a sustainable living off of music and travel the world and experience new things and build that community, and somewhere along the road maybe win a Grammy, or you know what I'm saying, like that's
be all right.
Yeah, that'll be right. That's a
Take
little
that.
extra though. All that other stuff though is that's the win for me. Yeah, that's the win for me. And like I said, having that community and being able to see everybody be successful at this thing, however that looks for each and every one of us. And then I'll be working with students with my nonprofit, and just being able to see them. Like we do music therapy classes, we have creative sessions with them, and being able to see them gain the same love for music and it become the same type of anchor that it's been in my life and their life. I'm like, all right, that's a victory right there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And that's called the Kaleidoscope Project, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So all of that, and maybe enough money for us to disappear off the map. You know what I'm saying? And
Go record out in the mountains for a few
Yeah.
weeks. You know.
Would be nice, huh?
hiatus money. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you know you really made it, when you make hiatus money. Like, and you just kind of disappear for a little second. And
If I could have enough money to delete social media, throw my phone out the window,
More type beats.
If I can put type beats behind me for good, TMac, it'll be a good day. No, so to me, simple is better, man. So being able to just focus on the music, I think building more just kind of organic relationships that lead to good music, and not just, hey, here's a pack of beats, which, you know, I love doing that too, of sending people beats, but being a part of the process to build songs and almost be kind of a executive producer on albums to kind of craft an artist's sound, or, you know, help them achieve a certain sound they're looking for, and just being able to put my touch on it. And also kind of working in, you know, different avenues. So I want to get into my R&B bag a little bit this year and just kind of flex my different styles as a producer a bit more. So that's kind of my big goal for the year, is just kind of branch out, work with more artists here locally and, you know, internationally as well.
Usher type beat coming next.
I'm gonna go home and delete my damn YouTube TMac.
Oh, come on,
TMac
come
found my
on.
YouTube.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
yo,
Fellas, thank you so much for coming through. I really enjoyed this conversation. Anything else you want to leave the people with before we get out of here?
I would say another short-term goal or success for us is that we're working on, are finalizing, going through the final steps of having a physical space to work with ourselves and other artists. So keep a lookout for that. Yeah.
It's in the works.
Yeah.
My final note is a shout out to you, man. I think people
Thanks.
like you who, you know, you came here without knowing a lot of people 2 years ago, you said, and have invested in, you know, learning the community, getting to know people, you know, these interviews, what you're doing out, you know, supporting local artists is the backbone of it all, in my opinion. So, you know, props to you for doing that.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
And doing great journalism too.
Journalism, man.
Yeah.
Official. Come
Journalist,
on.
man. The next Nardwar is what he's been called.
Hey, the next Nardwar.
I have been called Nardwar on the show before. Yo, that's funny. I'm gonna throw something out real quick though, because I applied to Indie 102.3 like last year, so a year or two ago.
Okay.
And I didn't get the job. But after that, that's when I really started going hard
doing
with
your
this
own
podcast.
thing.
And that's something that you brought up earlier about, certain doors might not open, but that opens the door for you to do it yourself. So that's what we out here doing right now. And
Facts.
if Indie 102.3 sees this, you guys got my number.
I like
okay?
that. I like that.
Hit him up, folks. He's
Facts.
right here. He's right here.
That's another thing right there. If they don't open that door, just because we might not knock immediately, don't mean we're not gonna knock again. So
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
We're going to be back.
Yeah,
That's a preacher right there. That's a preacher bar right
you know
there.
what I'm saying? It's Sunday. Don't get me started.
Amen.
The street preacher used to talk to God before his home in heaven. Christ-like, made in his image on avenues, the reverend. Black bodies, unhoused, all above deserve protection. Matt Hardy fought addiction, we got demons that we wrestling. Home is where the heart is, and if the heart too big, one might find it hard to live within these walls. I know it's hard to see the way that people cope to keep the blood within their